to all the viewers out there. My name is Marlon Boone, and today we will be discussing the trial of Derek Medina. So, just some quick little steps that we're going to be taking in this video. We are going to be discussing three important factors of this trial, which is the case facts, the chronological summary, and the critical analysis. So those are really the 3 points that we will be discussing over this video. So just a quick overview, just to give you guys a glimpse of how the story kind of went down. Derek Medina is a defendant, I would say a criminal now, but a defendant during the time him and his wife were married. They had a dispute. The dispute kind of escalated, and it resulted with him shooting his wife 8 consecutive times and her eventually falling to her death. Afterwards, he ended up posting a photo of her body covered in blood on Facebook, informing to all his followers and viewers that, you know, he will be going away for jail and most likely to the death sentence and stuff like that as well. So that is kind of a quick little overview. So let's talk about our case facts real quick. Our case facts consist of many different things. Our case facts consist of the location, the dates, and the people involved. So we're going to write that down real quick. The type of crime, I didn't mention that. Type of crime, location, dates, and what was my last one? Type of crime, location, dates, and key people. Key people, I didn't forget about that. So the type of crime that was committed. So there was 3 charges that he was committed with. It was second-degree murder, it was illegal use of a firearm, and it was child neglect. So brain fart. Yeah, he did commit 3 different crimes, and all of those are felonies as well. The location of the murder, it took place in their townhome, the couple's townhome in South Miami. So it was committed there. The date was August 8th, 2013. And the key people involved in this whole entire trial is Derek Medina himself, which is the defendant, his wife, which is, of course, the victim. Then it was the judge as well, and it was his daughter, because they had a 10-year-old daughter. And then they had a prosecutor, defense attorney, and then they had a communication witness as well. She was a communication officer that kind of, I would say, not a witness, but an actual expertise as well. So the communication officer can be described as both. And their names actually consist of, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that in my thing, but Jennifer Alfonso is the wife. Judge Yvonne Colony, and we have Carolyn Knox, which is the victim's mother. We have Sam, who is the DA. I can never pronounce his last name, but I believe his last name is pronounced Zigna. We have Leah Klein as the prosecutor, and we have Jennifer Alfonso, which is the victim that fatally got shot and killed by her husband, Derek Medina. So those are the key people, and that right there is the whole entire case facts. So we just went over that, so we can put a little check mark next to that. Now let's go into the chronological summary. So the chronological summary started off with opening statements. That consisted of the opening statements, so we're just gonna put an OS. Then it consisted of the witness testimony. We're gonna put a WT. And then it consisted of the closing statements, so we're going to put a CX. And after the closing statements, I believe it consisted of the jury instructions as well. So after the witness testimony, after the closing statements, they got the jury instructions. So let's just put that down. Jury instructions. So the opening statements just consisted of many different things. The judge, well, I would say not the judge, but I would consider her Judge Yvonne. She gave the right to the prosecutor to go first, because the prosecutor always goes first. So she gave an opening statement to the prosecutor, which is prosecutor Klein. She basically let them know that it's open for the court, so you guys can present an opening statement. So therefore, the prosecutor got up and declared her opening statement to the people of the jury. People of the jury was informed by the prosecutor that, defendant Derek Medina was 25-0. Prosecutor Klein repeated that 3 or 4 times, consecutively. It's 25-0, 25-0. And the reason why she kept saying that in her opening statement is due to the fact that Derek Medina was considered an amateur boxer. So he weighed about 200 pounds, standing at 6 feet tall, and his wife, Jennifer Alfonso, was about 5'6" at 149 pounds. So she was basically letting the people of the jury know that there was no reason why he couldn't defend himself and why he had to actually resort into using a firearm to harm his wife. He could have just, basically used a little bit of physical force instead of actually just resulting into a deadly weapon. So she basically went over that, and then she went into her spill over the evidence that was against Derek Medina. She kind of went over the background of the whole entire situation at hand that took place, and she let the people of the jury know that what went down and how, he should be prosecuted. So that was the opening statement for the prosecutor. Now, defense attorney Sam, they actually deferred their rights to an opening statement. They chose not to. There's multiple reasons behind that as well, but they just felt like the best reason for them, the best defense was not to have an opening statement on the behalf of Derek Medina. So since they chose to defer from their opening statement, they got right into the witness testimonies. And basically, the witness testimonies consisted of the victim's mother, which is Jennifer Alfonso, which her mother name is Carolyn Knox. So she got into the wisdom testimony. She preferred, direct examinations, cross-examinations from the prosecutor, and they were just asking her general questions like, for instance, how was your relationship with Jennifer? What type of mother she was? Was she a fit mother? All different types of questions and stuff like that, just to get a feel of how she was as a person and how her daughter was as a person as well. And that was kind of went down in her cross-examination. Now, the defense attorney Sam, he actually, did examinations as well, letting her know, that her daughter was a drug user, asking her certain questions about that regarding those. And she just kind of got a glimpse of that. So they both did cross-examination, direct examinations, and she was on the stage as well. So that's kind of how that went down. Next is the communications officer. Just one. Yep. So she went on the stage as well. She went to the stands and testified against Derek Medina. Basically, she was the person to inform the police officers about what went down, because after Derek Medina turned himself in after, murdering his wife, he turned himself in to the dispatcher. And so the communication officer basically, testified, the time that Derek arrived, letting the people of the jury know that how she dispatched the call, how she informed all the other officers for the situation. She informed the jury how she wrote down notes. And basically the prosecutor kind of just went into, details and provided that information and just general questions, because like I said, it was a cross-examination, and she kind of just went through that same process as Carolyn Knox did. Now, if you look closer to the video, defense attorney Sam kind of went into a little bit more depth with her, just due to the fact that his job is to defend the defendant. So, his job is to protect, Derek Medina. So, he kind of went into a little depth, asking her certain questions like, why did she do that? Why did she have to do that? Kind of repeating himself consecutively. So she kind of went into detail about that. So next, after the witness testimony, is the closing statements. Now, the Judge Yvonne, basically provided, the rights to closing statements from both sides, because they have to be fair. So they went into both segments in that. of course, the prosecutors always go first, just as it would in the opening statement, but the prosecutors did go first. And basically, prosecutor Klein just went into detail about how the people of the jury should make the right decision. And once they make the right decision, use the evidence given to them, should always come out with a better verdict. She even went in detail over a ladder. And I don't know if you kind of heard what she was talking about when she meant that ladder. She went a list of charges. So she went into details about the child neglect. She went into details about the use of a firearm. She went into second-degree murder, and she went to first-degree murder, because they did eventually try to shoot for first-degree murder. But, that's how she described that ladder. So she went into details on each of those charges and how that defendant, Derek Medina, committed all those charges, So she kind of provided that to the jury as her closing statement to let them know that those were not those, but those evidence that's used against him is those that were put into motion, in his act of violence. So that's how she went into that. Now the defendant, not defendant, but I would say the defense attorney, defense attorney Sam, he, like I said before, his job is to actually, protect Derek Medina and get him off the hook. So he went into his closing statements about how, Jennifer Alfonso was a drug abuser, she was an unfit mother, providing that, he was only protecting himself and that he was supposed to really defend himself as he should, as a man should. So basically his job, or his objective was to the jury was to persuade them, to let them know that, hey, my defendant is innocent, he just acted in self-defense. So that's kind of what his closing statement was. Now for the jury instructions. So the jury instructions was provided to the, jury from Judge Yvonne, letting them know to do the do's and don'ts. So basically, while in deliberation, they can actually talk about all the stuff that is going on within the courtroom, only in the courtroom. Anything that is discussed outside the courtroom will be in violation, so don't be going back home to your family discussing anything involving the case. It has to stay within the courtroom in deliberation, stuff like that. So don't be posting anything on social media, all that stuff. So everything like that outside of the courtroom cannot be discussed. So that's kind of what she was giving to the people of the jury, and letting them know that, hey, this is how it's supposed to go down. So that was her jury instructions to the people of the jury. Now,